turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf. Turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf.
We in the game, EA Sports. What's good with the God family? I want to welcome everybody to a journey, not a destination. When we talk about the destination totality, you know what I'm saying? Growth is motion. So if you're not moving, you're not grooving. Contrary to belief, depending on how you move it. Sometimes it can be wrong. But today, guys, we are in another episode, man, and we're having a good day today. At least I am. And as you know, man, I got my favorite, you know what I mean? One of the best in the world, you know what I'm saying, at this pod shit, you feel me? Big Keish, you know what I'm saying? Not the little. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and bring everybody up today. You know what I'm saying? Keish, how you doing today?
Hey, doing good. Doing real good today.
Real good. I like real good. I
Real
like real
good.
good. As you know, guys, we do a mental and emotional checkup. So for today, Keish, what is your emotional capacity today from a scale of 1 to 10?
Emotional capacity, man, it's at a 10. I feel good.
Mm,
Real good. Real good. Real
okay.
enlightened, and emotions are in line, in tune.
Mm.
New sun in Cancer. So,
Oh,
yeah,
it's been retrograde too. There's been some wild stuff going on for
right.
sure.
So
I was
we needed
yeah,
Cancer today.
for sure. There'll be a lot of
A new
expect.
moon in Cancer, not sun. New moon in Cancer.
Okay. My emotional capacity today is at a 9. We high, real high today, getting a lot of things done, meal prepping, you know what I mean? Trying to get healthy, you feel me? We getting ready for the new vision, the new guide, you know what I'm saying? The new way of life we trying to build, you feel me? From a scale of 1 to 10, what is your mental capacity today?
Mental capacity, definitely a 10 too. I'm firing
Mm,
on all cylinders today.
come on. Come on. You know what I'm saying? I'm a 9. You know what I mean? 9 to 9, 10 to 10. That's a good game. It's a good game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mid-level player for sure. Ain't no all stars with 9. But as you know, guys, today, man, today's episode will be about whose life are you living? The weight of expectations. And let me tell you, I've had a lot of expectations in my life. Some that were influenced, some that were my own, some that was from the, you know what I mean, the higher above. But I'm grateful to be in this space. Let's get into this intro with you guys. Listen, check this out. Somewhere between growing up and becoming who the world told us we should be, a lot of us lost something. We lost the courage to ask ourselves a simple question. Is this really what I want, or is this what I was taught to want? Because expectations are powerful. They don't always show up as pressure. Sometimes they show up as love. Sometimes they come from our parents, our culture, our friends, our relationships, or even the versions of ourselves we created when we were younger. They sound like you need to have it figured out by now. You should be making more money. You should be further along. You should be married. You should have this career. You should look like you have everything together. And before we realize it, we start building a life based on applause instead of alignment. We chase achievements that don't fulfill us. We carry responsibilities that were never ours to carry. We become the person everyone celebrates. We secretly wonder why we feel empty, because there's a different kind of exhaustion that comes from living a life that looks right before it feels wrong. The hardest prison isn't always a physical one. Sometimes it's the invisible prison of expectation. The fear of disappointing people, the fear of starting over, the fear of admitting that the dreams you've been chasing was never really yours. But here's the question we have to confront. What happens when you spend your whole life trying to become someone everyone else can be proud of, but never become someone you're proud of to be? This journey isn't about rejecting the people who love us. It isn't about ignoring the responsibilities or running away from expectations. It's about learning the difference between honoring the people who helped shape us and abandoning ourselves trying to please them, because your life isn't the one you have to live every single day. Not your parents' life, not society's life, not the life your friends think you should have, not the life built for validation, your life. And as always, I welcome you to a journey to our destination. And today, we're asking the question many people avoid: whose life are you really living? Keish, when we talk about expectations, how does that speak to you today in your current journey?
today's current journey, expectations are my own.
Mm,
It's been a road, it's been a journey to get there, and to say that and to finally accept that. But they have become my own because I did cut out a lot of things that you know we were taught growing up, or what expectations from different people that we look up to. Our parents, like you said, our parents, our friends, society. Like, once you are grounded in who you are and what you want to do and what you want to become,
yeah.
regardless of how people feel, your expectations now become about you
Mm,
and your family and your kingdom, whatever that
hmm.
consists of.
And your tribe.
So, and your tribe. So, and
No, I
remember, some
agree.
people gotta get some people gotta get kicked out the tribe.
You feel me? And in the words of
Everybody can't
Keisha,
come in the kingdom.
exactly. In the words of Keisha, burn the bridge.
Burn that bridge. Set that bridge on fire to protect the kingdom.
Oh, for sure, for
Yes.
sure, for sure. When I think of expectations now in my current journey and where I'm at and what's going on, a lot of my expectations when I was younger, trying to figure things out, there were a few people I wanted to make proud, and there were a few that had expectations on me, but never judged me by those expectations when I didn't make them. And I think that gave
Mm,
me a great space to be able to be who I am today and to love on the people that I know how to love and continue learning on myself and what expectations really matter to me. I did have a lot of people who I valued, right? And then there was a lot of people who influenced a lot of my expectations, friends, girlfriends, you know what I'm saying, family members, that fear of not wanting to disappoint them, but not the fear of wanting to disappoint myself. And I had to find that. I had to learn what that looks like for me. How does that make me feel when I don't, when I put something as an obligation for me? What does that look like when I do fulfill it? And what does it look like when I don't? And I'm really grateful to get to this point where like expectations, you know, are no longer well, I can't say they're no longer a necessity, but I try not to lead with expectations. I just try to just execute and do. That's like a super important thing for me right now in my current journey. And I'm grateful in the space that I'm at right now. I try not to let any old expectations, seep through. You know what I'm saying? And put me in a position where I feel like, hey, this is more important than where I'm currently at, and this is what I need to do. So I mind my business, and then I mind the business that minds. You know what I'm saying? But as you guys know, man, expectations are important. Um, don't deny the expectations you leave for yourself, but always question the expectations people leave for you. That's super important. So make sure you understand the difference. You know what I'm saying? Because we can get lost in thinking somebody else's expectations are our own. And then you complete those things and realize there's still more you're expecting of yourself. So know
mm,
thyself at all times. You know what I'm saying? And as you know, guys, today we will have 7 questions that will gear around expectations, different things like that. If any of these questions hit you personally and you feel like, hey, I want to speak on this, but it's too personal of an answer, you always feel free to hit us on JND Convos1 at gmail.com. And please feel free to like and share, leave a comment, let people know how, this show is impacting you. Make sure these questions, and you never know how these questions could affect you. You may not pay attention to now, but if you come back, it might be able to give you something in your future or your present. I digress. You know what it is. Our first question for the day is: how have expectations shaped the choices you made in life? You want papers to rock? I go. I see it in your face. You need some time.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Cam. You got this.
Okay. Expectations have shaped the choices in my life that I made. A lot of them were spiraling from who held me accountable for those expectations. I feel like that mattered more than the expectation itself. Can I point to a decision that wasn't truly mine that I made an expectation? Yes. I said a few shows ago that a lot of the things that I enjoyed and a lot of the things that I liked were simply because of my girlfriends, right? My girlfriends like these things, so I started liking them. But then I got to the point where I had to learn how to start enjoying the things that I like and things that matter to me. And it took a long time to get there. But I finally got there and I started to realize that a lot of these expectations that I put on myself were not mine. And a lot of decisions that I made when it came to expectations were to make certain people proud, and some of them people are gone, you know what I'm saying? And I always wanted to make, my uncle proud. I always wanted to make myself proud and my daughter, right? Those were like the top three for me. And one of the decisions that I made that probably wasn't mine when it came to expectations that shaped my life was, when I left from LA to go be a family man and a family man. You know what I'm saying? I think that was you know, I grew up in a home where, my dad wasn't there. I didn't have my dad. So when I first had my first child, I was like, yo, I want to change the cycle. I want to break the cycle. I want to be what I didn't have. So whoever has my first child, I want to make sure that I give it a good shot, you know? And my homie, one at the time, he was like, yo, you ain't got to do that. Like, you could be a dad from where you're at. Like, you don't have to go back to, the city and become a dad. Like, you can do it where you're at. And I'm like, nah, man, like, I didn't have it. So I didn't want to start my daughter off in a space where she didn't have it as well. I kind of wanted to give it a fair shot. Um, and as I grown and as I got older and I started realizing what parenting and co-parenting and fatherhood looks like ideally, yes, you want to be there, 24%, 24%, 24/7. But
That's a
life,
low percentage.
yeah, for
Jeez.
sure, for sure. But life, as I got deeper into my growth and what I wanted, I started to realize that like I was making decisions for what I considered a family, but I don't know if we were making decisions and putting expectations for what we thought what his family was. It was a lot of individualism going on once I got there, right? And it cost me a lot, my thought process and how I felt about myself and what I thought was good and what I thought was great, and I started doubting myself. I started having these different choices that I needed to make, and I didn't know if I could make them because the failure in trying to do it the right way, and then I felt like I didn't want to do it again. I didn't know how to do it again. Like
Right.
as I got older, I'm like, damn, like nobody gives you a brochure on how to be a parent. Nobody gives you a brochure on how to be a man. I mean, you kind of got to learn in real time. Now we got social media and chat GPT and all these different things that can give you some ideas and ways to look at things a little differently. But overall, your experience is what's going to teach you, your wisdom and learning from your mistakes and even learning from the successes as well. That cost me just about maybe 7, 8 years in my life, for making certain decisions that I probably, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have made if I know what I knew now. But I guess, God put me in a position where I kind of had to learn these things. And it was learning how to accept when you fail, learning how to accept the expectations when they fail. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
learning that, hey, these expectations are not your character. These are just things you tried and it just simply didn't work. You know what I'm saying? But it's okay to transition and move forward and be able to, see these things in a different light now that you're able to get over and move forward. But yeah, it cost me a lot, man. I didn't know how to really deal with that because, you know, I, I said this in another pod, right? I mean, we always gonna go back to the pod, Jimmy. I always said like, I looked at life like, hey, I wanted to be the best man that I can be, the best parent that I can be, right? But society and the courts, once you get the courts involved, it's no longer about you. Now your parenting is in the hands of the government. And whatever they say and however they say it, you kind of got to abide to it. And I got stubborn. I had a little ego about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, I don't deserve this type of treatment, but this is just how it goes, and it cost me a lot. But now we're in a different space. We're in a different energy. I'm starting to understand these things. And when expectations shaped my life, when it started shaping my life, I started being able to be a beacon to others. I started being able to be something that people could learn from, even myself could learn from. And it really shaped on how I look at parenting. It really shaped on how I looked at, you know, courting, relationships and different things like that. Like I truly believe how you treat, you know, your parents, what I'm saying, will determine how you treat the man in your life or the woman in your life. You know what I mean? And a lot of those came from my expectations that were even given to me or that I learned through real time and it just took some time to get to the point. But I think there's a balance in everything. How about you, Kish?
It's tough to follow that, but I feel a lot of what you said because I felt like I was going through the same thing, especially with the parenting thing. Like there is no guide on this, there is no handbook on this. It's like you do the best that you can at this given the circumstances and the time and place that you are in your life. And I didn't think about that growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandparents would say, they did the best that they could. And, like I
Yeah,
understand that now because it's like, yeah, at the time, that's all you could give. That's all you could do within those given parameters that you have. And parenting is not for the weak. It is not
it
for
is
the weak,
not.
especially when you have so many different personalities just in one home. Because
Mm-hmm.
as you know, I don't know if the viewers know, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but I have 5 children: 16, 15, 6, 4, and 1. Plenty of different personalities,
Oh
plenty of
man.
different things that I have to do for each of them. They're their own individual person.
Yeah.
And how I treat one is not how I treat the other. And people will say, you're supposed to treat them all the same. That's not true. You know why? Because they're not all the same.
At all.
I can talk to my 15-year-old and be like, hey, you need to do what you need to do, get it straight, get it right, and she'll get right. No problem. No tears, no nothing. She go. I tell my 16-year-old that, oh, he might have an emotional breakdown. So I gotta approach him a little different. Same with the
Yeah.
other ones. Like everyone has a different approach. I have to treat them differently based on how they respond to things in their own personality, their own individual personality you know, and then so expectations as a parent from others is like it's tough because people look from the outside looking in, judging like, oh, why you let them get away with this? Why you let them do this? Why you let them do that? And a lot of stuff that we can do or we can say growing up, my kids can. And I don't look at it as a bad thing or as a
Mm-hmm.
thing like, oh, they're, they're being disrespectful because they're not being disrespectful, but they
Right.
now have that space to feel safe and to voice how they feel, which we didn't have growing up.
Yeah.
It was all about conceal your emotions, stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about, you know, do as I say, not as I do. It
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of that. So we had no room to feel safe to express how we feel. And I don't
Yeah.
want my kids to feel like they don't have that room. I want them to feel safe to express how they feel. Now we can work on the root problem of everything and they can, turn out to have a much better emotional, mental life than what we had. They don't have to grow up fearing that I can't come to mom because this may come off as disrespectful or she might not
Yeah.
approve of this.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. I mean, and it's like I said, there's no set regulations and
Mm-hmm.
structures on how to do any of this.
Yeah. At
And
all.
then also what you were saying about the court system. I mean, as you know, I was in the courts. Lord have mercy, I was in there battling in the courts. I was doing everything. I mean, because it was a lot that got involved in the case,
Yeah.
that we had going, you know, and it took it took a lot from me. It took a toll, but at the moment I was just going, and I've said this,
Mm.
in other podcasts, especially the first one, like you just going. I didn't have time to think. I didn't have time to relax. I didn't have time to feel everything that was happening. I just was in warrior mommy mode and I had to go. And so I had to make sure that they were safe. And I had to do everything that I could, that the courts wanted me to do, that CPS wanted me to do, that therapist wanted me to do, like everybody that was involved in this case, because this case it's insane.
Yeah.
And to go through all of that and then to finally come out on top, you know, of it all, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
validates me in a sense that I went through all that and now I can relax. And I know what I was doing was right. So like now
Mm.
how people feel about certain things are like, oh yeah, no, it's not that serious. If my gut feeling, don't don't feel that, I'm going with that. Because as of right now, I ain't never been wrong on myself as a parent.
Right.
As far as like coming out of that, all that, I have yet to be wrong. Everything that I felt has been what it was. So
Hey, listen, a woman's
yeah.
intuition is important for sure. No, but listen, but I want before we go further, I wanted to ask you this question, right? Because we speak about expectations and the cost, right? Are there any expectations that you keep from your childhood or from your parents that you use in your current parenting skills?
Any expectations that I kept from my childhood? Oh yeah, plenty. I mean, it's one.
Yeah.
You know, turning these lights off.
No, for sure.
My dad used to always say, "Turn my lights off." My mom be like, "Turn my money off." And I didn't think about it, back then. But now I'm like, yeah, this stuff costs.
Yeah.
They leave lights on, leave TVs on. I'm like, So you want this? You want this electric bill? Well, you better turn these lights off if you're not using them.
Right.
That um definitely like cooking. Like I used to cook a lot with my mom, or sometimes
Yeah.
I just go in there and just cook. But in the kitchen, we would watch like cooking shows like the Iron Chef,
Emerald. Child
Japan.
Emerald. Emerald was the guy growing up.
Yeah. But with my mom, she like Iron Chef, but the Japanese version. So when it first started in Japan, and
Oh,
we
that
would
was the
watch
best
that.
one. That was the best one.
Right. Right. I still go back and watch those ones. And we would watch them. And so that's where I got like a lot of my creativity for wanting to try different things in the kitchen and try different foods.
Yeah.
My mom not so much. She's very particular. She don't eat things that are white. She don't eat blue M&Ms. Crazy stuff. But that's her.
Shout out mama, man. Shout out mama for sure.
But she will try a lot of new things. I tell her I'm gonna take her I'm gonna go on a food vacation, and she's like, "I want to come." I'm like, "No, you can't come because you don't
Nah,
like to
you
try
too
new
picky.
things." Right? Too picky. That's what I tell her. Like, you too picky for me. This is a food
I've been
vacation.
resetting my palate though, so I'm kind of my palate used to be trash. Oh, trash. I
Oh,
was so picky growing up.
right. And I
Don't
and
do
that's
that,
the
dude.
thing. Like my mom wouldn't allow us to be picky as far as foods, but she could be picky.
Oh, for
But
sure. That's
like
not, that's a
I
part of
I
being
would
a
eat
parent.
everything. Yeah. I would eat everything, and even like when she would make our meals, we always had a protein, a starch, and a vegetable. And even to this day, I make sure that we always got a protein, a starch, and a vegetable on the plate. And
Yeah.
so, like my kids now, they eat anything. Well, they will try anything, but like I feel like they're bougie at points. Like my 6-year-old loves sushi. Like who's a 6-year-old loving sushi? She is. She loves sushi.
That's
So
fire.
it's like allowing them to expand, that palette and to play with different foods or try different foods, things like
Hmm.
that. So I definitely carry that from my childhood. Saving money on electricity bills, definitely carry that from the childhood. Yeah, cutting the grass, that's my dad thing. Cutting and watering the grass, making sure it's like green. Because my dad
Yeah.
is originally from Georgia, so he's used to the greenery. And it's so like he is big on having a green lawn and don't walk on his grass. You do not
No,
walk
for
on his
sure. But
grass.
that was a big deal. You better not walk on that
and
grass.
he, and even now, I be telling my kids, like, you don't walk on people's grass. Don't walk on their grass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
No,
what
that's
about you? Are
beautiful.
you carrying anything from your
Uh,
childhood?
yes, hell yes, for sure. One would be my parents used to always tell me when they call you and you be like, "What?" They be like, "Don't what me."
Oh, right.
Boy, you want the quickest ass whooping? What a nigga if you want. Don't what me. Cooking, how I cook, when I cook. A lot of my cooking techniques come from, being having a big family and cooking. You know what I'm saying? Being able to cook. Everybody knows how to cook. Different essentials like the amenities of knowing what to do, like um, making your bed every morning. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
To clean up the kitchen when you're done cooking. You know what I'm saying? Or when you're done eating, different things like that. What's another one? It's a few, man. There's so many that I Well, it's a few of them that another one I would say that I keep from expectation is my mannerisms. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Nowadays, a lot of people don't do sir and ma'am, but depending on where I'm at, it's always sir and ma'am. Unless you got somebody that be
right,
like, don't sir me. Like, fam, respectfully,
right.
my mama will slap me in my face if I didn't sir you, even if you didn't want to be said to you. So those are some of the ones that I use for my expectations as well. And leaving no child behind. My mom was one of them people where it's like, if we all if all the older kids go outside, they gotta take me with them, and none of y'all can and y'all all gotta come back together. You know what I mean? That's something I definitely want to keep an expectation that I definitely still live on and appreciate because it created camaraderie. Yeah, I might not like taking my little brothers and different things like that out, but now that we're all adults and we're older, like we don't play about each other. And that's just some of the
Mm,
things, some of the expectations that I keep for sure. When it comes to my younger going into being a parent. But I digress, right? My next
right.
question for today is: do you think expectations motivate us or limit us?
Mm, I don't know. That's a tough one. Well, I don't know. For me, I think it kind of limits us. Um, and I say that because it limits your capability to go either above and beyond that expectation because you
Mm-hmm.
felt like, okay, this is the expectation, I hit it, and that's it. Well, you can do so much more,
Mm-hmm.
you know, limited in that way.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, yeah, I think it limits us to
Mm.
fall short of the glory of just that part. That's it,
Mm.
and not seeing your full potential of it all without the expectation. Because sometimes we get locked in on just this one thing and getting all the checks in the box and not just, expanding on it. Like, okay, I don't have to mark all the checks in the box, but I can go above and beyond the checks in the box, you
Mm.
know? So that's why I feel like it limits us.
It's interesting you say limit us, right? So let me ask you this. Well, we got two questions here, but I want to go with your limiting us. When has the expectation held you back? Can you give me an example of a time? And then when have an expectation push you forward?
Yeah, so I can probably thinking of starting my candle business. So I
Mm.
started a candle business. What's this? About 4 years ago.
Mm.
Um,
You're almost
it
a
was
half a
doing.
veteran.
Oh no, oh no, 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 no. It's a process.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a relaunch now, but starting it back then, my expectations was just to have, just to launch the candle business and to put my name out there and to just kind of have, what it was and promote it that way.
Mm.
And me doing it that by that expectation limited me to creating what I want to do now.
Mm.
And had I not had that expectation and thought about it like this, it could have been what I want to do now, a luxury candle business, which I never thought to do because I was just so stuck on like, oh, this is a smaller type of business as opposed to promoting it to what its full potential could be. So
Yeah.
that's one way that it did limit me,
Mm. Okay. And then when has the expectation pushed you forward?
push me forward. I think probably when I was getting my degrees, when I was yeah. So getting that schooling done, or even just getting a house, buying the house, that expectation. I don't know if it was the expectation on that. I don't know. I know my dad expected me to get a house, so because he had a house, but then I still wanted to get one anyway.
Right.
But I think making sure everything was good with that, um, and making sure I got all my ducks in a row to get a house, and then finishing my degrees, because everybody was expecting me to finish it. I was supposed to be the smartest one in the family, so I had to get all this stuff done. I didn't have an
Supposed
option.
to be.
It's supposed to be. But hey, we got other smart people in the family. Don't
That's
just put
fact.
all that weight on me. But
Hey,
yeah,
listen, you're supposed to break the cycle.
man, I mean, I did break it, but it wasn't the expectations that they had on me that broke the cycle.
Mm, mm.
So I broke the cycle in my own way, not by their expectations. But hey, I mean, I did what they wanted. Like we said in other podcast episodes, like we've done what they wanted. Now it's time to do you.
Exactly. I would say for me, right, I do think expectations can motivate us. I think the execution and not fulfilling the expectation is what limits us, right? Because I do think that sometimes, you get hard on yourself when you feel like you didn't handle this expectation in the way you need to be, right? But when you get an expectation and you actually fulfill it, it do something to you. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you can take on the world. You feel like you can do so many different things. For me, an expectation that may have held me back was um, the expectation of what society tells you where you need to be at a certain age. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And things you need to have at a certain age. You try to gear everything to that level, and when you don't meet those things, you know, you start feeling less than, or you start doubting yourself. When really, like, bro, a lot of a lot of men don't really reach their full pinnacle and they full, apex till after 40. But
mm,
when you from the hood, we need everything fast. Things that come fast. We got bills now,
right.
all these different things. So when I got to this age where I felt like, oh man, because I'm not where I want to be, because I'm not seeing the things that I want to see, I'm less than, right? And that was just an expectation that was given to me. It wasn't my true expectation. It's just what society and people around me and what I saw around me, that people who may have influenced me, people that I enjoy, people that I like, or people that I wanted to be like. They had these certain things at a certain age, and I wanted to make sure I held up to that, and it held me back because once I didn't make those expectations, I felt like I didn't deserve them, or I
Mm,
shouldn't even worry about them because I wasn't able to get them. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how it
right.
works. Like, bro, it's a journey, not a destination. Once I realized that, then I started just doing one thing at a time. And once I start getting one thing at a time, another thing at a time, you look back, you realize you got everything you need. And that's when I got to the point now that I talk about on the show is you're already successful where you're currently at.
Mm,
Whether you have $100 or $1 or $1 million, where you at currently, you are successful, right? And we want to make the space to get successful. Now, expectation that pushed me forward would be I take a lot of leap of faiths, and I had an expectation where I came to Atlanta thinking that I was going to get this job as a dispatcher, and it didn't fall through. You know what I mean? It didn't work out the way it was supposed to. So now all the plans that I had that I wanted to excel in, I pushed them back because I wanted to get this job, and this job was supposed to help me put me in a position, all these different things. Now I had to take all those ideas and bring them to life.
mm,
You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Immediately. And it changed everything. It put me in a whole different space, a whole different mindset, a whole different mentality. And this show was a part of it. I was originally doing a different show before this show, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? But once I realized that job wasn't coming and I started doing my CPR, I started doing all these different things and Ubering and you know, medical carrier, all these different things. And I'm like, okay, these things start working, start propelling. And it's like this whole time, my expectation was to wait on those until I get something secure. And then life put me in a
Mm,
position where I could no longer wait on those things. And I had to make those things secure so I can push forward.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that expectation of, okay, we don't know where this gonna go, but we gonna push this to the to the death. You hear me?
It's
And
going somewhere.
it's going somewhere. You feel me? And that helped me excel my expectations, and it gave me the faith, and it helped me cure my doubt in myself because it was
Mm,
like
mm-hmm,
I was able to be like, hey, I can do whatever I want, but I also need to be able to educate myself and put myself in the proper position to do what I want. You know what I mean? A lot of us say, hey, you do whatever you want, you put your mind to it, but sometimes you can put your mind to some shit and it don't work. You know what I mean? Because you didn't get
Right.
the proper education
Right.
that needs, you know what I'm saying, that needs to be done,
Right.
you know?
You
So
can mentally put your mind to it, but you ain't putting in the work
exactly, you know what I'm saying?
to do
And
it.
then I
Yeah.
and then I realized, as I started doing all these things, that I'm working more than I ever did as a 9 to 5er. You know what I mean? I'm
Mhm.
naturally a blue collar guy. I love going to work. I love getting my weekends off or whatever off days I get. I used to really enjoy that. But once I had to really improvise, now I'm working to get an off day. Off days are not
Mm.
guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? They are not
Right.
guaranteed. So I may work 2 weeks straight just to get 2 days off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And for some reason, those days were way more impactful and way more cherishable than knowing every Friday when I get off, I got these 2 days off. And I realized I was taking a lot of those 2 days off for granted when I was doing a
Mm.
9 to 5. Now that I had to speed up my process and my ideas, put me in a better position. You know what I mean? I'm truly grateful for sure. But I digress, right? Our next question for the day is, whose expectations have weighed on you the most? And we have three to pick from, Keish. Family,
Three to pick from.
society, or yourself. Which
I
ones do you think weighed on you the most?
think myself.
Hmm.
I think because every day I gotta live with myself. I sit
Right,
here.
right, right.
It's when it's self. You're there all the time. You're there criticizing yourself all the time. You're there saying you had a great job all the time, or you're there saying you fucked up all the time. Like it's you that is your biggest critic in that regards, and I think it weighs the most because in another pod we said you could do something wrong and people like it's okay, I would have made the same decision, and it's like, well, yeah, you would have, but when I go home at night I'm still thinking about it even though you said it was okay. It hasn't become okay for me.
Right.
So I think yourself can be probably your biggest weight, because
Hmm.
everyone else you can kind of let go. You can kind of shut society out in a sense. You can kind of cut off from your family in a sense, but you can't cut off from you. You can't run from you.
Mm-mm.
Ain't
Mm-mm.
nowhere to go, nowhere to run to, baby.
Why do you think your voice carries so much weight during that time?
Oh, it carries the weight all the time,
All the time. I know.
all the time. It never ends. I think because deep down, truly deep down to my molecular atoms, protons, neutrons,
Come on, get that
electrons.
science on. Bring that science in here.
I know what I can do and what I'm capable of and how
Mm-hmm.
far I can really go. But sometimes, I limit myself and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired. It's like, nah, you got a little bit more in you.
Yeah.
Because me, I know myself. Everyone knows themselves. They know how far they can go without burning out. Just like you were saying, you work in 2 weeks straight just to get 2 days off, but you know your burnout level. You know how
Yeah.
far you can go, and
Yeah.
you know, like, okay, yeah, I can push it a couple more hours today, but so that's why I think that person, you have the most weight because you are with you all day. You have been with you since the day you were born. Actually, before
Mm-hmm.
you were born, it's only been you. When you leave this world, it's gonna be just you. So that that person is the one that knows you best, and that's why
Mm.
I think it's so heavy.
Huh. For me, I would say expectations that probably weighed on me the most. It would be myself, right? But
Hmm.
it would also be like family members that I didn't want to disappoint. You know what I'm saying? That's always gonna be a thing for me because there was just certain people I put on pedestals above myself, not
Hmm.
because they were better or worse. It was because they showed examples that I wanted to be as an adult, as a kid.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And they made me feel like, yo, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have these high expectations, but sometimes you don't want to put them too high because when you fall, you know what I mean? You don't know how to deal with the fall because you care too much about the expectation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially for myself, I'm super hard on myself a lot, and it has got me to this point where I'm able to be cordial with myself. You must always be cordial with yourself because, every day, even if you make the expectation or you don't know what day is going to be the hardest when it comes to you emotionally.
Right.
You don't know what's going to trigger you. You don't know what's going to bother you to the point. It could be something simple. I remember when I first was going through my situation, and I'll be driving, working, delivering stuff, and I would see a father playing with playing with his daughter. And you think that
Mm,
that's supposed to be a beautiful thing, but the expectation that I have for myself as a father was kind of stolen from me a little bit, and I didn't know how to
right.
deal with that at the time. I didn't know how to fight for it at the time. So those little things that are supposed to be beautiful and make you feel good, those things triggered me because of the voice that I carry so much weight on, because, I wanted to be what what I didn't have growing up. I had a stepdad and different
Hmm.
things like that, but as far as having your father in your life, to this day, RIP my dog, you feel me? To this day, there's questions that I want to ask him that I could never ask him. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And even when he was alive, he had a stroke while he was alive. So he couldn't talk. He could only listen. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So it was difficult with the weight that I had to carry and the things that I had to do. I really had to learn in real time. You know what I'm saying? And society never really weighed on me because my mom really always made us be our own selves. She always taught us
Hmm.
how to be just be you. Love on you, do what you got to do, you know what I'm saying? With some heavy restrictions. For sure. Yeah, I mean heavy restrictions, but the
Yeah,
voice
heavy
in my head
restrictions.
heavy. But the voice in my head was like, yo, listen, even if you can't do it, you should just let it go. Just move on. Just you know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But for some reason it was big for me. You know,
Hmm.
not only did I want to prove to the people I love, I wanted to prove to myself that these expectations that I put, I can fulfill them. And even but my uncle
Mm,
used to always be like, "Yo, even if you don't fulfill them, it doesn't make you less of a man. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you less of a person. It just means that you got more time and you got more work to figure it out and get the situation done." You know what I'm saying? And for me, it would always be myself and then family. Society, I never cared. You know what I mean? I was an
right.
oddball, especially high school growing up. I've always been the weirdo. You know what I'm saying? I hung out with everybody. I was best friends with the teachers more than I was with the students. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Shout out, Miss Miller. You feel me? Wiedenhofer, I see you, big dog. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Coach Harris, you feel me? Listen, it's a few. It's so many. You know what I mean? There's so many that really impacted me. Miss Booker Lisa, I see you. You feel me? Yeah, I mean, those are the people that really changed my perspective and my idea of what life was and what expectations that I need to have for myself. You know what I mean? And don't be hard on yourself. Just continue doing the work. That was
Right.
difficult for me. I ain't gonna lie. It was very difficult. But you live and you learn, right? But I
Hmm.
digress. Moving on to our next question, right, for the day. Uh have you ever achieved something and still felt unfulfilled? Yes.
Right. We did talk about this in that podcast with success.
Yes, yes, we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yes.
So definitely.
Uh,
Um.
but
Yeah.
my question to you is this, right? Even when you felt unfulfilled, did it make you question your path? Did it make you
Yeah.
question your journey?
Yeah.
Yes. When I first came to Atlanta, I was like, when I got out the hospital, and I nothing was the way it's supposed to be. Super behind on child support. Didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I was like, I think I might have made a mistake. I think I
Hmm.
made a bad choice. I really questioned my path, but I'm like, as I got deeper with my spirituality and I got deeper with my faith, nothing happens for no reason. Everything is ordained.
Right.
You're here for a
Right.
reason. You know what I'm saying? You're here for a reason. It's something that you need to learn. Um, peace is a place. You know what I mean? Uh, happiness is moments. You know what I mean? It's not just one spot. You know what I mean? Peace is a place, but happiness is a bunch of moments put together. It's a moment. You know what I mean? Like let me get 5 days of happiness. So I can it can equal to a bigger happy moment, opposed to thinking that I'm supposed to be
Right.
happy every day. You know what I mean? And because of my choices, it did question how I looked at where I was at and what I was doing. But overall, I believed in myself. I believed in the path that I was going. I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that's what changed. That's what helped me deal with questioning my path. How about you, Keish?
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, as we've talked about, I have felt unfulfilled in certain areas, but after achieving, something, I think, and that's because those expectations wasn't mine. At heart, those wasn't mine. It was just another check in the box.
Mm.
Um, so definitely, I have to say, even like along this journey when I was in North Carolina, you know, everything happened for a reason, like you said. Like the future is already written.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody told me that one time, and I was like, man, I've heard it before, but it has never had such an impact on me until now. Like the future is already written. Nothing is a coincidence. Nothing happens by sheer, whatever. It all happens for a reason. It's all on the path for a reason. Whether you are going through a season to make you stronger in the end, to prepare you for what's to come ahead, or for to cut certain people off.
Yeah.
So, it was a lot of times when I questioned what I was doing, if it was right, if I should be doing it, or things like that. And I have to now. I look at it as everything does happen for a reason, and I just have to fulfill my purpose because I know I'm here for a bigger purpose. All the stuff I've been through, they can't tell me got it in real, like Hockey Ka said. You know, so
I
um,
agree.
definitely, I would definitely say that your fulfillment is not an expectation, especially if it's not your expectation. You will never feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
You got to start living for you one day. So if you're not doing it today, make it a mission to do it today, maybe tomorrow,
Hmm.
the next day, whatever you need to do. You got to live for you.
Look, guys,
And
in time you'll find out that your fulfillment will come from the journey and not the actual destination you make it to. There's gonna become times where you'll reach certain expectations, but you're gonna care way more about the time and the things you did to get there more than getting there. Unless you win the lotto. Let me get 600 billion. Let me get 600 million. I might feel different. I might come in here talking crazy. You know what I mean? But
right?
unfortunately, we live in the present, right? In this current journey, my money's occupied.
My money's occupied.
But I digress, right? Moving on to our next question for the day would be what fears come with letting go of expectations? What fears come with expectations? Uh I would say this, right? For me, what fears come with letting go of expectations? We have a few questions here, right? Could it be fear of disappointing others or fear of starting over? For me, it would be fear of starting over, because I'm very passionate. I put a lot of time into certain things. And when things don't go my way, I'm very good at transitioning, but that process hurts, especially when it's in a relate. For me, it'd be like more relationships. I put a lot of time into the people I love. I put a lot of time into the people I keep around me. You know what I'm saying? I really pour into people, and when people start showing me a side that I can't really deal with, it really frustrates me and it puts me in a different space that I'm really not used to. And definitely when it comes to letting the fear go of expectations, I felt more freer. I felt more intrigued. I felt more valued, because I was no longer putting my faith and my all into that expectation, making whatever I'm doing or however I'm feeling right. I'm right now. This expectation isn't going to make me right later, whether I get to it or not. Fear of disappointing others. I come from an era where you truly had to being yourself was the best thing you can be. You know what I'm saying? Caring about what people think of you will get you into a lot of trouble. Will put you in a position that you don't want to be put in because now you're leaning on other people's understanding and not your own. You know what I'm saying? And now you don't even know how to be yourself. You're allowing yourself to let certain things go, or or you know, allowing people to sway your emotions and your energy because you want to make them feel good more than making yourself feel good. And starting over was just I mean, and disappointing others has never been a thing for me, unless it was like, you know, my uncle, you know what I'm saying, or somebody that I value, disappointing them. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But they'll you know what I mean, they'll lead with love. They'll introduce me to love. They'll treat me right. Like, hey, it's all right. We know things are going the way it's supposed to go. Things ain't being the way it's supposed to be. And I do think that at times, that's something that you need during all these processes. You know what I'm saying? Especially with letting go expectations, because, sometimes you have to learn how to live in the present. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes expectations take you away from that. You're so worried about what's next and more, 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 when really you just need to enjoy now. You need to just appreciate now. You need to love on yourself now, whatever that looks like, and however that you know computes to you in your present journey. You know what I'm saying? Letting go is a healthy thing. Letting go is something that is very necessary, that you need to have when it comes to letting go of expectations, because I do think there's goals, right? And reaching those goals, but I do think leading with no expectation to get those goals, you can only do that by doing the work. You know what I'm saying? I think that's super important. How about you, Keish?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fear that come with letting go of expectations because you feel like, what if it doesn't work? You know, what if I was
Hmm.
wrong? You start to question and doubt yourself more, um, and you feel like, what if the naysayers were right? I think that's probably like the biggest fear of letting these things go,
Yeah.
and kind of just stepping out there on your own, like you said, like being you, like stepping out there, being you, showing the world who you are truly, without any expectations of them accepting you. So I think definitely those are the type of fears that come with it, just being rejected.
Mm,
But if you accept yourself, who cares who reject you?
I agree.
You
What
know
do
what
you
I'm
say
saying?
to what fears come with letting go of the fear of starting over? What do you think? What fears come with that? Because I feel like you started over a few times. You got some gems. We're starting over.
Woo! I always start over, I feel like sometimes. Um, Definitely starting over. I mean, it's tough, especially when you've been doing it for so long with someone and you have to start over completely from the beginning. And there's days it's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know where this money is going to come from. I
Right.
don't know a lot of what's going to happen. But it was like, regardless, I still have to show up. I still have to be there for them because at this point it's not just about me, it's about my kids as well. It's like I still have little faces looking at me.
Hmm.
They're expecting mom to know it, because in their minds, I know it and I have everything planned and everything looks easy, in their minds, and they don't see the other parts, the stress, the late nights, early mornings. They don't see that. And I don't want them to ever have to feel like they have to take on that burden or see that. I just want them to be able to know, like, regardless of what's going on, mom got us. And that was the expectation I had to have for myself, regardless of how I'm
Mm,
feeling. I have to make sure that all of this is taken care of. So then you have to tap back into everything that you have known over the course of your life. Every little thing that you have picked up, whether it's a small trade or something like that, those are the things that you have to tap into to get shit done. You know,
hmm.
so if you lost your job or something, okay, well, what else have you done? What else are you good at? What else are you skilled
Yeah.
at?
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget about those things, especially when we get into the corporate world or, blue collar jobs. We just doing that. And we forget about everyday life things that we do to even just maintaining a household or to, fixing things. Like we forget about those things, and those are the things that are going to get you through,
Mm.
when you least expect it.
Right, right.
So I feel like, especially like for me, like letting go and starting over, just revamping my candle business. It's like I have to, I have to now hone in on everything that I went through to breathe life into this candle business,
Mm.
because it tells a story. And so
Yeah.
every time that I create a candle, every time I light that wick, it's a story behind it. So it's just not me selling the brand, but it is me telling my story,
Yeah.
and helping others that can relate, or people that are going through similar things. So I had to hone in on those things, on those little things. I've always loved candles since I was young. So it's like, this is what you love to do, you know.
Mm. And I agree. 100%. You hear me? But I digress. That was a great answer, Keish. I appreciate that for sure. Moving on to our next question for the day is, how do you separate your desire from what's been conditioned into you?
Mm.
Let me tell you. um,
Mm. Yeah.
my desires have changed. Um, my conditions I had to unlearn and relearn. Um, how I separate my desires are most desires are pleasurable. Conditions are things that allow you to sustain certain things in life, what I mean, with yourself, what I mean, and some of those conditions aren't good for you, yeah, if you're in survival mode, there's certain conditions in survival mode. Once you get out of that, you have to let go. You know what I'm saying? And you may not know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that when I was surviving. When I was in survival mode, it was whatever I need to do, I get it done. And then once I got out of it, I started viewing everybody in that way, in those conditions that I was conditioned in, growing up, and my younger adult years, and becoming a man, and learning that, you know, I am conditioned in certain things that I have to unlearn and relearn, especially with
Hmm.
financial literacy, what I mean? Learning about how to spend my money, how to save my money, you know what I'm saying? Though I had these desires of wanting to go on trips, I wanted to buy certain things, I wanted to be a certain I wanted to have certain desires that mattered to me, but they didn't matter into the longevity and the expectations of life and the conditions that I was in. And sometimes I would sacrifice the conditions and where I'm at because I wanted a little fun. I wanted a
Hmm.
little desire that helped me out, right? How long did it take for me to recognize it? It took me till after 27, because my uncle used to always tell me that after 27 you become a man, and your thoughts and your ways change. And my thoughts and my ways changed a lot. I mean, things that I cared about, things that I considered fun, were no longer fun. And then I
Mm.
started to realize, like, oh, I only like this because of this. This is not my true desire. Then it was like I started to want desire to be great in every area of my life, not just on the fun times, not just, not just for the women I was dealing with. My desire started to become more about me and not the external things. Um, and then I started, paying attention to, my authentic voice, and then that voice that tells you, nah, don't do that. The doubting voice. He was a
Hmm.
scary man. That boy was scary, and he used to scare me a lot. He used to bother me a lot. I used to get nervous. There was a point before I turned 27, I didn't know who was talking to me. I didn't know if it was my authentic voice or the other voice. You know what I'm saying? At times when, you know, I knew I needed to go to work, you know what I mean? That other voice would be like, man, just take the day off. Just go to the emergency room. You know what I'm saying? Send the picture. You know what I'm saying? Send it to your job and go home. But the authentic voice is, we need this bread. We got to really get to it. There's goals we trying to reach. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep leaning on your conditions. You know what I mean? Because I was conditioned on, I've been fired from a lot of jobs and I walked off a lot of jobs, and I got conditioned to that. I just I knew how to get around it, but just because you know how to get around it doesn't mean that you should be doing it. And I was doing that
Right.
shit. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I was tired and want to go to the job, I go straight to the emergency room. Hey, sign me up. I need like 2 days off. You can't fight that. Whether I'm lying or
Right.
not, you can't
It
fight
don't
that.
matter. Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I know
Nothing
the
they can do about
protocol.
that.
And that's only
Right.
because I was conditioned in knowing how to be, I was conditioned in being lazy and not conditioned in succeeding in life, and how to, and not, excuse me, in life, and knowing that these little steps will better me years to come, opposed to these conditions will fulfill my desires that I currently want, which is just to stay at home and rest or be lazy or watch TV or be with a girl. You know what I mean? Different things like that. How about you, Keish?
Yeah. I mean, it's just funny that because I still think about you going to the emergency.
Yes.
Because I've worked at an urgent care and I know like people have done that. It was like few hours before they shift and they like there. I'm like, oh, how many days you requesting off? We can only give you max of 3 days anyway.
Oh, it used to be
So,
so hot. Three.
uh, so yeah, I mean, I know those people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I am one myself, but I don't go to the emergency room. Luckily where I work at now, it's called kin care, and you don't have to tell them. You just say, I'm calling out for kin care, and you get hours. As long as you got the hours, they can't question anything.
Nope.
And then if you don't have the hours, hey, you just don't get paid for them couple hours that you took off. Um, but yeah, yeah, definitely. I can see like where we've been conditioned to do a lot of things through life.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's unlearning and relearning. It's unlearning those bad habits, but then relearning yourself again. Like the true you, the rawest, authentic form of you, where a lot of influence wasn't an impact for you. Because at certain stages in our life, we absorb a lot of things. Like from the ages from when we're born to about 3, that's our biggest absorption that we can get. Because if you think about it, in that short time period, even from
Hmm.
0 to about 2,
Yeah.
a baby learns how to walk, how to crawl, how to sit up, how to eat, how to drink, how to manipulate things as far as like gross motor skills, how to speak, how to like they do a lot within that just 2 year time frame period, you know. And so just to think about put it in that perspective, if they can do in that 2 year span of learning new things,
Yeah.
um, we can definitely change our what we've been conditioned to know as quickly, if not quicker. No, it's
Right.
just a matter of how determined you are to unlearn these things and how open you are to learning new things or to not put a taboo on everything.
Right.
Because I mean, for me, a lot of taboo come with me because I'm spiritual. People say they're spiritual. Sometimes I don't know what definition they have of spiritual.
Yeah.
So it becomes questionable. Like, okay, well, I think I am very spiritual in the sense I do a lot of things that are looked at as a taboo. If you're not into hoodoo, voodoo, santeria, natural herbs, healing, things like that, then yes, yes, that's me. You know,
Mm.
but for me, that's probably my raw, authentic self. And then, just looking at my lineage, where I come from, is like my grandparents, Louisiana and Georgia, deep South Georgia at that. Ain't no way you gonna tell me in my whole lineage of line from Louisiana and deep South Georgia that there's nobody doing root work in here,
I
you
agree.
know.
How long? How long did
But
it? How long do you think it took you to realize that in your present journey right now?
I just realized it today, actually maybe last night, because I was just thinking about it last night. As far as like this is in my blood, like And for a while, like I've been going through this. I've had battles with, family members where they've cut me off or they called me the devil. They called me all type of things because of the path that I chose and the things that I believe. And it's just amazing to me. Like, we come from the same lineage and y'all don't feel the same way because y'all been conditioned to look at this as a taboo and not embracing like where you really come from.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so because if we want to trace it back to, your ancestral slaves or being in Africa, that religion was not upon them. The
It did
religion
not
that they
exist.
practice today, it did not exist. What they practice today did not exist back then. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you embracing?
Oh, you trying to go
Are
down a
you
rabbit hole?
embracing you? Right.
Keish, I think you trying to go down a rabbit hole.
No, no, no.
Cause I feel you. Listen, I got some thoughts too, but I'm gonna let it live. I'm gonna let it die. I digress.
Oh, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be another show. We're gonna have to do another show on
You
that
know what I
one.
mean?
But
After hours.
right, JND's after dark. um, but definitely like trying to break that cycle and break those conditions and embracing it. It's a journey that you have to take by yourself, honestly, because you are going to upset a lot of people, and you have to be comfortable with upsetting a lot of people, not giving a damn what they think. Like I said before, they're going to talk about you, regardless if you practicing Christianity or not. They are going to talk about you no matter what. They talk about Jesus Christ still to this day, so they still going to talk about you. So I just say, live in your truth.
And I'm learning that in real time, and I agree. Um,
Yeah.
great point, Keish. Great point. Because you got me ready to go down the road. Ready to go real deep dark. You feel me? But we go. I rest. Let it live. Look, I do want to do question 7, but I think we kind of already answered it through these 6 questions. But I'll just give it to you just for the audience. Maybe you guys may want to answer it on your own time. But our next question, right? Our last question for the day was, um, what would your life look like if you stopped trying to meet expectations? What would you walk away from immediately? And what would you finally pursue if you let go of those expectations? I think those are some of the
Yeah.
things we spoke about
Yeah,
already.
that we are. Yeah,
You know what I'm
definitely.
saying? But I just wanted to give it to y'all. Maybe, you may have, maybe this may be able to touch you in a way where, it could put you and inspire you in a space where you can figure some things out that you probably didn't know what to figure out. Sometimes life can be so simple if we just allow it to be. You know what I'm saying? And expectations can complicate things or it can simplify it. But it's totally up to you, right?
Right. Right.
But
Very
I
true.
digress, right? Look, guys. Maybe the hardest part about becoming yourself is accepting the same people may not understand the person you're becoming. Because when you stop living for expectations, you challenge the comfort of everyone who benefit from the old version of you. The version who always said yes, the version who stayed quiet, the version who carried everyone else's dreams while ignoring their own. But growth requires honesty, and sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is admit, I've been living a life that looks good on the outside but doesn't feel right on the inside. There's nothing wrong with wanting success. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make people around. Excuse me. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make people proud. There's nothing wrong with having goals and responsibilities. But the question is, are you building a life that reflects who you are, or a life that proves something to someone else? Because at the end of this journey, the trophies fade, the titles change, the opinions of others shift, but you still have to wake up with yourself. So give yourself permission to rewrite the story, give yourself permission to change direction. Give yourself permission to become someone you've never been before. The goal isn't to create a life that everyone understands. The goal is to create a life that you can stand in and say, this is mine. Because the journey is never meant to be performance. Excuse me, because the journey is never meant to be a performance. It's meant to be lived. Stop chasing the life you were expected to live and start creating a life you were meant to experience. It's your boy. And as you know, guys, we got the quote of the week and the word of the day. The word of the day is presence. You know, sometimes your presence can be a present. You feel me? Bar God. You know what I'm saying? Understand that Expectations always make you think about the future. You know what I mean? That makes you worry about wanting more. But even in the midst of all that, you have to live in the present, and you still got to be present with yourself and be fulfilling to yourself in this current moment in your current journey. That's our word of the week, right? And our quote of the week is by Sylvia Plath. If you expect nothing from anybody, you're never disappointed. And I thank you guys for enjoying Journey to Our Destination. Another showdown. Keisha, is there any good words or any good healing that you want to give the people before we get up out of here?
Just living your truth. Go water your grass.
Yeah.
Front yard, backyard, your toes in the grass. Water yourself.
The grass
Water your
waterer.
grass.
For sure.
Yes.
Nah, man. I thank you, Keisha, for being with me during this journey, man. I love y'all, man. Y'all be safe, be good. You know what the game is, man. We out of here, man. Peace and love, man. The game is real.
Don't worry about me. I'm just turning over my leaf. And my last one is complete. You can stay. Don't worry about me. I'm just turning over my leaf. Heat my deposit, I leave. It's complete. You can stay. Cause I'm turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf. He's turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaf. I'm just turning over my leaves. I'm just turning over my leaves.